What's up, everybody? Happy to be here with my boy Vincent Fisher. Neither of us have an official podcast. We're just here to chop it up today. We met about a year ago through friends, got a workout in, and it was sick just hearing, Vince's story, watching his growth online. And I'd say it's probably been about 8 months since that initial time that we worked out, and watching your growth online has been unbelievable. So really looking forward to catching up with you on this.
Yeah. Vice versa. I've seen your growth as well. I remember you had you had not a lot of followers. We were in similar self-development programs, and I was like, man, this dude's blowing up. How many followers you got now?
I think like 172.
No, that's nuts. And I want people to understand, it's not about the followers. It's about the message that you're pushing. I believe everybody's given a following for a certain reason too. I've noticed the more pure that I've made my message, the more fulfilled of a life that I lived, the more I had been rewarded for a following. So I feel like we'll give quick intros. And is the camera, the camera is right here? Okay, that's a little bit, that's tricky. But yeah, a little backstory about me. I was a high school dropout 4 years ago. I knew I didn't want to take the traditional education route, so I dropped out. People think I knew I was going to do fitness coaching and consulting, and I had a plan the whole time. I knew I'd be rich, but it was kind of like, I don't want to have a plan B. I'm just going to burn the bridges, right? So I got in the gym. I went from anorexic to 193 pounds, so 135 at 6'3". At that time, which is
How old
skeleton.
Were you?
I was 17 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, 17 years old. And then I got in the gym. It was about 6 months that I put on, I think it was 30 pounds around that time. And I started picking up traction online. And I was like, people are asking me, what's the workout routine? How are you doing what you're doing? And I always say, wherever the questions are, you can make money. And I dropped my first low ticket fitness program. I took that money, reinvested into mentors, found out about high ticket. And now we do consulting. We have Six Figure Fitness. But yeah, for the viewers, because I don't know who's going to post this, but give us a backstory.
Man, and dude, by the way, one of my favorite things about you is no matter how much success you have, you still have this amazing growth mindset, right? You consistently invested in mentorship everywhere along the way. You joined a bunch of programs in the beginning and learning through your journey. And then when you got into consulting, hiring, big ticket guys and working with Andy Elliott and never stopped learning. Mm-hmm. And it's just amazing for anybody who's watching, understand, guys, it's a journey. There's no pinnacle. It's not hey, you make it to a certain level and you stop investing in yourself and you stop working with mentors. It's a never ending journey. And so it's been awesome to watch you consistently invest in yourself and grow as well.
Hell yeah.
My journey has been a little bit crazy. I got sober 6 years ago. I hit my rock bottom. And from that point forward, May 6, 2019, I decided to change everything about myself. So I got sober. I started to develop a relationship with God. I started to get into fitness. I started eating healthy. And within 2 years, I became president of 10X Health. And we scaled that from 9 million to 50 million in the 10 months that I was there. I got tired of being an employee. Even though I was president, I'm still an employee, right? And even though I had equity, somebody told me where to go every day. How to dress, how to talk, what to do, how to act. And I just got tired of that, so I left and created a healthcare consultancy. I started working with 10X and stem cell clinics in Medellin, and you went there recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so I worked with a bunch of stem cell clinics around the world, consulting for them. And then I got really bored, and I felt off purpose. And that's when I got introduced to Wes Watson on a boat. I had never seen online coaching. I didn't know what this was. Instagram for me was like sunset pictures and surfing. Mm-hmm. So I meet Wes and he's like, bro, you got a crazy backstory. You should be coaching. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So that was 2 years ago, and that's how I got into this.
Bro, that's awesome.
And it just, it's my purpose, right? To help other people. I think it's been a blessing because I've been able to help so many people overcome the same problems that I've overcome. And that's sort of the beauty of a personal brand is people are going to be attracted to you for a different reason than they might be attracted to me. They might be in a different stage in their life. You've overcome different problems. You might speak about things differently than I would. And there's just a sea of people online. It's endless,
Mm-hmm.
the internet money is endless, but the internet impact is endless, And I think you're so spot on when you say hey, when I have a desire to impact and help other people and I have a pure message of hey, this is who I am and these are the problems I've overcome and this is how I can really help people, God repays you for that,
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
karma's real.
Yeah,
right?
That's the beautiful thing because people watching this will say, well, Wade's cool as hell, Vince is cool as hell, I'm not anybody yet. But like you said, it's you have to think in abundance, right? Because there's a lot of people, especially in the space, that'll think there's a limited supply.
Yeah.
Some people actually think there may be 5 million a month circulating, and if somebody makes money, it takes from your chunk. But the truth is, like you said, like somebody that may hate me is going to love you, and then vice versa as well. So that's why I love the online space, because you're also helping your past self. It's funny that you mentioned the mentor you had, because we spoke in the gym about this. My first self-development program I ever invested in was Brandon Carter. So I was doing low ticket, like selling $20, $50 programs. It took me like 2-3 months to save up $8,000, which was the ticket price at the time.
Yeah.
And I saw he had this community. One of his YouTube ads popped up. He was like, listen, if you're a fit trainer, et cetera. And I was like, what are they doing different, huh? I was like, let me check it out. And people don't understand, to invest in a mentor, it takes a certain level of dropping your ego.
Totally.
Right? So I had to go, man, okay, this dude, I mean, even though he's older, he knows more than me. Let me invest in his program. And he was selling like a little bit higher ticket, right? So that jump from $50 programs to learning how to sell $997, $1,997, $2K, bro, it literally just like multiplied my income. And I was like, holy shit. That was like the rabbit hole of where I was like, I'm going to take every single dollar and continue to reinvest. But I mean, like you mentioned before too, people think it's about the money itself. They think it's about the cars. All of those things are just scoreboard and trophies, right? Yeah. Like in a financial world. But I'm addicted to the growth itself, and that's what people don't get, right? A lot of people get me misunderstood online, like, this dude's money hungry and he wants to. I don't even care about my cars. A lot of the time they sit in the garage and collect dust. People are like, Vince, did you drive the SVG? I'm like, bro, I don't even fit in the car, you know what I mean? But I know that no matter what level I'm at in life, if I'm not growing, I'm gonna feel unfulfilled, because there's a universal principle. If you're not growing, then you're dying. There's no such thing as stagnation. So that's why I continue to reinvest. I continue to put myself in uncomfortable situations. And, that's the most fulfilling thing. So I want to ask you, like, how has your life changed from going from 10X Health to consulting to becoming an online coach? And do you think your journey before that prepared you for where you're at now?
100%. When I started my own personal development journey, I solved my own problems. And then when I started managing people at the company before 10X called Health Gains, and then at 10X, I actually created personal development plans for all my employees. So if you came and worked for me, I was going to give you a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. We were going to meditate in the morning. I did not only sales training, but like communication and fear-based mindset, ego training with all my employees. And then I would give them a fitness plan and a nutrition plan. So I had already been really helping people with personal development for a long time. So when I opened my coaching program, people were just like, hey, we've been waiting for you to open this up. It really, I was ready to get online at that point and do this. But I had the fear around creating content. Nobody wants to like become a beginner at something again. Like my journey was, I was basically the golden boy, right? I'm president of 10X Health. I got office in Beverly Hills, Scottsdale, Miami. I'm speaking at events around the country. And when I leave, now I'm talking to this little green dot. I don't know what it was like for you in the beginning, but like, what was it like when you first started making content?
Well, I'm going to be honest. Like, I just knew I was already a loser. Like, a lot of people are afraid of failure. I knew I was failing. I was like, I'm at the city bus. I'm broke. I'm begging people for $1. Like, people don't understand this. Vincent Fisher, I was like, bro, please give me $1, bro, please. I'm like, your parents are rich, bro. I feel like I deserved $1 because they were in a more fortunate situation than me. And as soon as I got out of a victim mentality and I was like, you know what? I'm ground zero. I think I read Think and Grow Rich, right? And it said to make money, you have to provide service. The Bible teaches you to serve. And I was like, okay, let me stop taking and let me start serving in some way, shape, or form. And for me, it was just, it was fitness. It was creating content. So I really wasn't scared of failing because I already had a negative name in a sense, right? It was like, I went to an all-white school. I was the only half-black kid. So I was the black kid that never fit in. I get called the N-word on the way to the bus stop. So I mean, it's just, it's a little bit different because you had the high status. I was just like ground zero. So I'd say that's how I'd break it down.
What was your journey like when you first got to Miami? Walk me through and what you felt like overcoming some of the fear and that whole thing.
So the number one thing is that I never starved growing up, right? I want to make that clear. I never starved. I never ate noodles like most people. I grew up in a very middle-class family. Yeah. So we always had food on the table, but I didn't have the things that I wanted though, and I created that discomfort. I had a mom who loved me, right? She's never going to kick me out. She was never going to say, Vince, you need to get here, get out. I can't pay my bills. But I created that urgency for myself through maybe even hypothetical scenarios. I went, listen, if I don't become a millionaire by 25, I failed. And I'd set goals that I didn't even believe in, but I had certain mentors and I'd read certain self-development books, and the people that wrote those were so certain that I may not have believed, but I believed that they believed. So if they're saying set big goals and shoot higher than you can imagine, that's what I'm gonna do. And I read Think and Grow Rich, and it said write down like, what do you want and what are you willing to sacrifice? So I wrote down millionaire by 25. I'm willing to sacrifice my PS4, which is the most important thing to me at the time, right? And when I moved to Miami, I was already selling fitness programs, low ticket, had already switched to high ticket. I invested in Brandon Carter's thing in Arizona. But it was me having that rent, right? Like it was when I first moved to Miami, I moved to Solitaire and the rent was like $4,500 a month. And it was like that discomfort, right? There's a common dilemma where people online say, don't overextend yourself, don't put yourself in uncomfortable situations. I'm the opposite of that, right? I'm like, put yourself in the most uncomfortable situation because that's the only way you can grow. The same way you apply progressive overload in the gym is the same thing you should do with life. So I went from zero expenses, $500 a month I was giving my mom, to $4,500 a month, and I moved out with a homie. Our plan was to split the rent 2 ways. And bro, it was just like the stress, the fear, the anxiety, like the pressure that I had to make that payment every single month was what forced me to level up and grow. It forced me to continue making content. It forced me to advertise as well. And I guess it got easy over time, right? You have the first obstacle, $4,500 a month. And before you know it, I'm buying like cars. I had already bought cars in Arizona. This is the thing. I already bought nice cars in Arizona, but I actually sold the car that I had. It was a BMW i8, and I sold that car. It was breaking down. I was spending like $10,000 a month on it. Boom, I'm in Miami now. And I just, like, I've stacked my expenses. Like, I'll tell you this right now, Wade, like, I did everything incorrectly to what they tell you about building financial freedom. I had more expenses. I upgraded my lifestyle as I upgraded my income, but I was never a bitch about it. I was never weak about it. I was like, I'm gonna fucking grow. I mean, even to the Huracan that I bought, I was still comfortable. Dawn, SF90, SVJ, nicer spot, $100,000 vacations in Dubai. Before you know it, you're climbing this ladder and you're getting stronger. You wake up, you're at $800,000 a month. I'm like, I don't even know how that works, but I know for a fact, if I never overextended, I would not be where I'm at. If I never put myself in that stressful ass situation where I'm fucking scratching my head, like I'm fucking, wiping my eyes, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So that was kind of my story of moving. But I mean, to sum this up too, I mean, in Miami too, the things that you see, right now you're seeing Bugattis, you're seeing Lambos. The first time I bought my Lambo, which was, 6 to 8 months into Miami, I remember the day I bought it, I felt like the shit. I'm driving down the street, I look over, I see a drop top Bugatti, bro. And I was like, holy shit, there's fucking levels, bro. So yeah, that was my story with Miami.
And what would you say accelerated your recent success in the past 8 months? What would you say some of the biggest things were to help you really get this exponential growth?
100%, bro. This is game two. I mean, I was trying to be a one-man army, right? Because you see so many, like a Brandon Carter or whoever you see, they look like one-man army on the front end, but they have an entire team behind them. So I actually sat down with the owner of Fanbasis, his name's Yash, right? And he's like, Vince, these are the things you need to do to scale your offer. I was sitting at $100,000 a month. My goal was $1 million a month. And he's like, Vince, you're a one-man army. The offers that are doing 4 to 5 million plus a month on our processor are teams, they're organizations, and it's not just one face, it's a bunch of faces pushing into this offer. So the first thing that I did, I shouldn't even be saying this, I took the #1 success stories from my community and I upgraded them. I said, listen, I want you to work alongside me. I want you to do consulting as well. You've already proven yourself in fitness. You've made $30,000 a month. Let's make another offer together. And we're gonna push 6-figure fitness, which is what we built. And we're gonna help more people exponentially. So I don't even really have to post. A lot of people see me online, they say, oh, he's posting because his rent's due. He's posting because, no, I don't have to post, right? Because I have so many guys, I think now it's 20 guys that have their own faces, their own brand, their own name, that push the community, that change their lives. And I 10x'd my input, which 10x'd my output. I'd say that's the biggest thing on top of paid traffic. I was always a paid ads hater, right? I go, man, I don't need paid ads. I go viral organic and this, that. And I mean, everybody that I saw was like spending hundreds of thousands a month on ads and making millions a month. I was like, okay, they know something that I don't. I was like, how do these guys have 3 likes, but online they're saying they made 75 million? I'm like, how does that work, right? So paid ads was another thing. I dropped my ego. I didn't look for the cheapest. I looked for the best. And this is a shout out to my guy, Jason Wojo is who he worked with. I was like, run some DM ads for me, right? I have mutual friends that used them. I was like, hey, here's the $10,000 retainer. I'm not complaining. I'm not arguing. Now, one thing I want the people to understand is that I make decisions very fast. I never really negotiate if it makes sense. My homie plugged me into a group chat with Jason. Jason's like, hey, Vince, just to let you know, it's $10K. We can jump on a meeting for 30 minutes and I'll give you the guy, like, send link. He's like, what link? The Zoom link? I was like, no, send the payment link. Sent him the payment link, sent the creatives that I was using, organic, blasted them in ads. And bro, it just kind of took off from there. So now we're spending $40,000 a month, but we've made $300,000 in the last month. So and this is just from ads, right? We're doing $800,000 a month total, but just from that, I mean, it's exponential growth. So I'd accredit those two things.
I love that. Dude, it's, I think a lot of people miss the fact that in order to move up really quickly, you have to make decisions really quickly. And the way that you build confidence in yourself is by sticking to your word, right? And so each and every day, you and I do the same stuff. Like, I know that I have confidence in myself because I'm not gonna slack off. I build myself each and every day, and when someone comes to me and says, hey, you need an operator in your offer, here's what it's gonna cost you, and here's the thing, I said the same thing. Send me the link. I'm not gonna look at other offers. I vibe with this guy. He was a referral to me. Like, bro, let's move, you know? And I think a lot of people are stuck in stagnation of like over-analyzing. How is this gonna work? Why is it gonna work? When's it gonna work? It's like, bro, stop. You don't know how or why or when it's gonna work anyway, because you haven't walked the path yet. So just jump in and start doing these things.
Yeah.
But dude, it's funny. It's, so do you work with Jerry?
Jerry with a G or a J? I have two Jerrys on my team.
G.
Yeah.
Okay, I started working with Jerry in my program, like one-on-one. So he signed up to I'll give you a little backstory. When I got online, I created two programs: a group offer to help people with personal development, and then a one-on-one offer for business owners. I started teaching people business consulting because a lot of people wanted help growing their personal brands and coaching online. I actually realized that that wasn't a good fit for me. It was actually a really painful process, dude, to go through this and realize I had talked to a bunch of different people in the industry, and they're like, bro, that's not really your strong suit. And what I realized is it's not actually what I like doing or what I know that much about. So I went back to helping people optimize themselves one-on-one. And now I've started scaling my business offer with executives, people that run companies. What I'm really good at is helping people manage teams and become better leaders and scale operating companies, as opposed to teaching people how to create coaching programs online. And I think a lot of people would look at that and be like, bro, you got online and you failed. You know, like, hey, you got online and you went and you started this program and it didn't work. That's a failure. And for me, it was like, no, that was my learning curve. It's what I had to go through. But I don't have an ego around the fact that that's just not what worked for me, right? It works amazing for you because you're awesome at it, but it wasn't my path. And so I think a lot of people are afraid to make moves and mistakes because of how is it going to look? How are they going to be perceived? You know? But so you know, walking back to this, it was so cool, you know, helping Jerry optimize himself. And he was like, bro, I work with Vince. And I was like, dude, in my opinion, there's nobody who's done a better job actually pinpointing who his customer is and what results they get. So that's kind of what I want to know. Like, can you talk a little bit about how your messaging and your buyer persona and what results somebody gets has like helped you grow your business?
Yeah, 100%. I'll start with a very general fact. Number one thing is that most people in this industry, they try to compete with other coaches. They try to compete with other consultants. They're shooting for the 3% that's already informed and in the marketplace when there's a whole 97% that doesn't even know what coaching is, whether it's fitness coaching, consulting. So I target that 97%. I'm instantly out of the bullshit, right? And I target my past self as well, right? I've had two different phases. When I was doing fitness, I'd target the skinny guy. I'd understand him more than he understood himself. Now I target the guy that's had the transformation. He's bulked up in the gym. He's looking at his bank account. He can't pay for supplements. And he's like, fuck, I wish I could just get paid to work out. And my messaging is so pure and on point because that was me, right? I lived it. So when people are on calls with me after they join the community, they're like, Vince, I remember you said this one thing. I wish I could just get paid to work out. That's where my head's at. Now, with your dream customer, and the easiest way to find this is your past self, if you can understand that person more than they understand themselves, if you can know that person's deepest, darkest pain points, and you can know their desires, then you're going to be able to sell to that person every single time. So I know that I was in shape, but couldn't pay for supplements. I didn't want to get a normal job. I was going to Bashes, is what they have in Arizona, and I was stacking TV dinner discounts to continue the bulk. I knew that I had the insecurity of being picked on for being the broke kid, for not fitting in. I knew that I wanted to help my mom because she was a single mother that was working 2-3 jobs. That was a big motivation for me. And I knew my desire was the nice things, right? Like I'd see Lambos online, I'd see nice cars. My mom would tell me, Vincent, that's not for us. You know, we can't have that. But I knew I was just born with a conquering mentality, and I'm like, we can have that, you know? So my messaging is just me being me, right? Like I learned marketing backwards. So I was already doing these things subconsciously, and then people were like naming terms. I'd study Russell Brunson, he'd talk about dream customer, and I was like, wait, oh shit, this is what I was already doing, right? So, I mean, I guess I just, I find my audience by being me, by just telling my past testimony, my past story. Same thing with you. Like we've had different stories to where you could target the guys that may have been on substances just naturally. Like you don't even mean to do it. You're just telling your story and it brings the right audience. And then there's a factor of urgency, right? Because I knew to a certain degree, I was always hungry, but I was also in shape. But I had a little bit of procrastination. I had a little bit of laziness. So the best marketers are able to create that urgency, that oomph, that sense of you need to change now. The market is changing, right? So I'd combine that as well. And then I have to reshift their beliefs around self-development, which was something I had to do with myself. Remember when I first told you I invested in self-development, I was like, well, I'm doing the same thing as this guy, but then I dropped my ego. I was like, okay, he's making more money than me. He's changing more lives. Put my ego down. I'm going to invest in him. I'm going to cut the check for speed. So I guess to answer your question, those are a list of the things that I do and how I target my dream customer. And after that, it's just advertisement, right? The first part is nurturing. So nurturing your audience, knowing who they are, reshifting their beliefs. I don't sell or market. I'm just me, right? When I get on a call with somebody, like my sales guys be like, Vince, you know, take them back here and reshift. I'm like, bro, don't text me. I'm just talking to them. And people don't understand this, Wade. Like a lot of people have this mentality now, lead with value and this, and it's a common thing in the market today, but brand is more important than even value, right? Because if you're giving this value, but nobody wants to be like you, then you're not going to sell. But if everybody wants to be like you, even if you don't have that much value, I mean, obviously both are equally as important, but I always look at the higher ups. The reason I was able to scale to what's about to be 7 figures a month so fast, I didn't look at other people doing 7 figures a month. I didn't look at other people doing 6 figures a month. Even Jerry will send me other people, Vince, they're doing this. I'm like, don't send me a B player. Don't send me a C player. I look to Bernard Arnault. I'm looking at the designer brands. I'm like, how do they move, right? Why is somebody buying a Louis Vuitton bag that they know it's $50 to make, but they buy it for $2,000, $3,000? Bro, brand presence, status, the transformation, what it stands for. So I sell my story. You know, I sell relatability. When people get on calls, they say, man, Vince's past self, that's me, bro. He's me. My sales guys tell me, bro, Vince, every time they get on, they're like, bro, they don't look up to me. They see a piece of themselves in me. That's what I did with other people too. When I'd look up to like Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, I looked up to them, yeah, but I saw a piece of myself. I saw a piece of that winner. We're all interconnected, like God is one, you know? So I just saw potential. And I think other people see potential in me. I see myself as a symbol of hope. And, you know, behind all the money, behind all the nice things, like you said, I used to do the same exact thing for free. I used to give people fitness programs for free before I started selling and realized I needed to pay bills. Consulting, I'd help all my friends out for free. And I know that if you had all the money in the world, if you asked somebody, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? And I know that if I would do exactly what I'm doing right now, then it's my purpose. So that's a rundown of how I target my dream customer.
I love that. And can you talk to me a little bit about your relationship and your journey with God?
Yeah, 100%. So it started as a kid. I had always been spiritually aware, right? And it's not, I've never really talked about this online. People actually think I'm disconnected with God. But since I was a little boy, before I could even remember, my mom would tell me things that I was a toddler in the car while my dad was still healthy and could walk. And I'd tell my mom, you know, if God takes my dad, I still love him. I know it's a part of the process. And my mom's like, Vincent, what are you talking about? Your dad's healthy. He's walking. And it's funny because, I don't know, 2 years later, 3 years later, my dad started getting sick and he passed away. And I'd say during that time, I lost my relationship with God, right? I thought he betrayed me, right? I thought if there is a God, I hate him because why would he take away my dad? And I'd see the Bible preach that your father is God. And I was like, no, my father's my father. Why would he take my father, right? And at the time, you don't understand. But as time passed, I realized that was just a lesson. And, you know, obviously my goal was to do it for my dad. But I realized that trauma had been put in my life because I had to be a role model and example for other people that had the same exact experience. So I help my minorities, you know, people that are in bad spots, people that don't have both parents growing up, people that aren't financially fortunate. And I've had certain, you know, this may not be biblical, right? Because I've had certain, I don't know, astrologists, sign readers. My mom would pay for these people for me and they'd read who I was supposed to be. And they said, your goal is to uplift the less fortunate people in life, right? That's what they tell me. And I was like, what does that even mean? I'm 16 years old. I'm skinny as shit. Like, they told me I'd be a life coach. It sounded boring. I was like, what is a life coach? I'm like, what does that even mean? Coach, gym coach? Like, and I've just found over time that as I started speaking my message, as I started pushing my personal experiences, and most importantly, the mentality I had to overcome those experiences, I've changed a lot of lives of people that haven't even bought from me, right? So like, I used to think that everybody was exactly like me. I used to think like, we're winners, so I used to think everybody thinks like a winner, you know, but I'd realized some people did have these discrepancies. Some people didn't have healthy self-images. Some people weren't able to overcome obstacles and they need to be taught. So I always saw that as my message. You know, I was sent down as somebody that was supposed to uplift weaker sectors of society, give them the right mentality, give them the knowledge, and allow them to succeed. I've had people that don't even do coaching that are like, Vince, I'm a real estate agent, but me listening to a lot of your talking videos helped me crush records this month. Vince, I'm a sales dude, and it helped me with this, that, and I'm like, oh shit. And I know, you know, Wade, is funny saying this because I'm in the gym industry right now. My plan's to build six-figure fitness, sell six-figure fitness, and go more general. But I don't want to move general yet. I know I can help everyone, but I want to have an 8-9-figure exit like an Alex Hormozy and then go more general. Like, but yeah, I'd say that's my relationship with God. And on top of that too, I mean, I'll see so many people online that go, you know, man, money's evil. Don't get caught up in it. God doesn't want you to have money. And I think that's hypocrisy. I think to sit online and say that God doesn't want you to become financially successful, God doesn't want you to live an abundant life and be capable of taking care of your direct relatives, I think that's hypocrisy, like I said. So if you worship money, that's different, right? Like, I don't sit down with money. I'm like, money. No, like money doesn't make me, I make money, right? And I make money by helping people, and I take that money. I sent my mom $4,000 this morning just because. I was like, hey, Mom. I didn't even text her. I'm just like, here. She's like, Vincent, thank you for taking such good care of me. My birthday was 15 days ago, and my mom wrote me a letter, right? Because when you can buy everything you want, nobody wants to get you gifts. They're like, Vince already has everything. But a letter is meaningful, right? So my mom told me, she said, Vincent, thank you for being courageous, and thank you for taking risks, even when I told you not to. And the reason she said that was because my mom always wanted to protect me, but me taking those risks and being courageous allowed her to not have to work anymore. And she's traveling around the world. I'm coming to Miami. Now we're in Puerto Rico. Now we're in Sedona. We bought an RV. You know, so that's what I stand for. I indirectly live the message of God because I'm not perfect. I curse online, right? I'll say out-of-pocket offensive stuff. But I think the reason that I'm financially rewarded is through God. Like, I don't think I get it from anywhere else. I know it's bigger than me because I know when I've been lost, I've been put back on path by messengers, right? By people that worship God that said, Vince, hey, I want you to tweak your message, bro. You may have gotten lost in the sauce a little bit. And I've had people tell me, hey, I'm just a messenger, bro. This isn't me. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. And it was those little coincidences, because I always say God talks to you in coincidences. It was those little coincidences that built my faith in God after I lost the most important thing to me. You know, so I'd say that's my number one goal and journey. You know, I believe that everybody I get on the phone with, everybody I'm on a meeting with, I don't care where they're starting, I believe that it's divinely planned that I'm supposed to help that person. I think it was a post or a reel about this, and it said, God's gonna give you the business idea, and then God's gonna give you the clients. So that's how I look at what I'm doing. And I always had a rule since I was 16 years old. I said I'd never sell anything I wouldn't buy. And I stuck to those core principles, and now I'm making more money than I can make, you know? So I'd say that's my relationship with God.
I love that. And you have this presence, this unshakable confidence where it really seems like you fear nothing. Can you talk a little bit about, have you ever had any, you know, scarcity in your mind or negative self-talk, and how do you work through that?
Yeah. So I think I was given God-given optimism, right? Now, the scariest thing that happened to me, like I said, was my dad passing. And I feel like it was that I had already faced my fears. Before that, I loved the reality that I was in. I loved the play, the show, father figure, mother figure. And when I watched that crumble, when I watched my dad get sick, he was 6'3". And I remember one morning I woke up in our apartment. But I love my dad. My dad worked his entire life. He went from town in the middle of nowhere in Texas, moved to Arizona, built a house, the American dream. In 2008 happened. He had to sell the house at a loss to pay his medical bills he couldn't even afford. We had to sell his car for his funeral. And I said, whatever American dream they've been pushing is false. You know, because I watched him do exactly what he was supposed to do. He'd tell me to save money. He'd say, Vincent, save, save, save. And, you know, left with nearly nothing. So it was just that unhappy ending where it was so scary to me. You know what I mean? Like, my grandpa came into the hospital before my dad passed, and I remember he had a stroke, and I was like, Grandpa, look, my dad can move now. You know, he's getting a little bit better. My dad wasn't moving, and a tear dropped down his face. And my grandpa, it was the first time I saw a tear drop down my dad's face in my entire life. Not when his mother died, not when anything, not when he had to sell the house, not when anything. And the only time a tear dropped was when he was unable to move and he wasn't going to make it. And the only time I saw my grandpa cry was not when he lost his wife, not when anything bad happened, was when my dad was passing, because his successful son that he raised to be the black sheep had passed away. And, you know, I was the only last living legacy, right? Because it was aunts after that and et cetera, uncles that were in jail. So my grandpa pulled me aside. He's like, Vince, you have to become the man of this house. And I think the reason that I'm fearless was because it was bigger than me. I never had selfish intentions. I had the intention to live out my grandpa's word, which was being the man and providing for my whole family. And even when I did get scared, I knew that my purpose was bigger than me. It was God-given. So I didn't care about me. I didn't care that I was scared to fail. I didn't care that my mom was scared I'd fail. I was pushing out a mission of serving outside of myself. And I think that's the key to fearlessness. I think that everybody who's scared to take a leap of faith, to take a risk, to set up their family for financial success is selfish a little bit, because it's not about you or your feelings or what you want. It's about what you're supposed to do as a man. So I think that's how I get my fearlessness, and it is from God. You know what I mean? Like, if I thought I was here alone by some coincidence and, you know, we're all aliens and we're on a rock and evolution, I wouldn't have the same level of self-belief. I genuinely believe that I'm spiritually protected. I believe that no weapon formed against me is going to prosper, and that's why I act fearlessly. Yeah.
Man, that's powerful, bro.
Yeah.
Are you going to Yasha's on July 4th?
Yeah, 100%. So
Nice.
yeah, I want to go to Yasha's too. But yeah, it's connections like that. It's people that you meet. You know, like, anything bad can happen in life. My mom could get into a car accident and die. My girlfriend could pass away. You know, anything at any given moment, bad can happen, right? But if you think about that, you're walking with fear. Now, anything good, just as equal, could happen. You could hit the lottery. You could meet somebody who's about to be a billionaire like Yash. You could have certain connections. And if you focus on that, you're walking with faith. So they say both faith and fear require you to believe in the unseen. I've just walked with optimism and faith my entire life. Another thing that's contradictory and almost, I don't know, you know, I guess the word is hypocrisy, is to say that you believe in God and to not walk with optimism, to not walk with belief, to not walk with faith. And so many people do that as well, right? They'll say, man, I worship God, and what if this fails? What if that fails? You don't worship God.
Exactly.
Right? Like, you may think you do to some degree, and the relationship's going to get stronger over time. But my number one goal, especially after a certain level of maturity, because I'm not perfect, right? I have certain clips from when I was 19 that'll resurface the internet. Vincent didn't tip a waiter that gave him bad service. You know what I mean? I'll say out-of-pocket stuff. But, you know, I guess after a certain level of maturity, I realized, damn, that is my life purpose and that's my message. And until I fixed my message, I wasn't allowed status or success or financial freedom. So I think everybody watching this, if you look in your bank account, you don't see what you want. If you look at Instagram and you're not growing, think, how can I change my message? And this isn't social media advice. It's not, hey, be controversial. I'm not giving you tips and tricks. I'm giving you like spiritual prophecy. When the time is right, when you have a pure message, when you're preaching what's supposed to be preached, you're going to have success. And I think everybody has a different time, right? Like, I had, I started my entrepreneurship journey when I was 16. It took me until I was 21 to see real success. So for 5 years straight, I watched other people win, other 20-year-olds buy Lambos, other people on top. And not once was I envious, not once did I hate, not once was I jealous, not once did I discredit any of them. I said, man, they're winning. And maybe it's not my time right now, but what do I need to change about my message to be able to win too? I'm going to listen to these guys. I'm going to try to get as close to them as I can. And then my time came as well. And I see so many people living incorrectly, right? From my own message, right? I'll see people that look at me and, they'll hate me. They'll go, man, that guy is just full of it, and et cetera. And I'll say, I was never like that when I was on my journey of success, and I want him to be successful, so I'm going to correct him. I'm like, hey, listen, bro, you can't go around being jealous and et cetera. And, there is out-of-pocket stuff that I've said. I'm not going to deny that or anything. But I think that if you have a pure heart, if there's no envy in your heart as well, which is one of the 7 deadly sins, if you clap for others, if you want others to have the exact same things that you have, I believe that God's going to see your heart. He's going to see your desire. He's going to see your message, and he's going to financially reward you.
100%.
But yeah, I have had people that have tried to fuck me over, bro. And God's timing, I don't know what it is. Every single time it's failed. And even when it did work, I'd say, what is God trying to teach me? I see so many people that hate this game of life that we're living. I believe that we're all souls sent from God. And it's a test. Life is a test itself, and you have to be grateful for the tests and the ups and downs. So I said this in a podcast here before. I was like, I've been stuck in business at the exact same spot. Even, for the last year and a half, maybe even 2 years, where I'm like, why am I not growing? Why am I not growing? But I was never unhappy, right? I always had the same exact optimism and faith month after month. Even when I was getting fucked, I was like, this is part of it. I'm just going to stay down until I come up. And I think you have to separate yourself a little bit, right? Don't take life too serious. Don't get stressed out. Like, walk with faith, laugh at this game. And I think life is a test of higher consciousness. The more and more that you figure out, the more you realize how this works, the more you realize you were put here to serve, the more you realize even the money's not important, the cars aren't important. I know I'm saying this now, but I'm saying this as somebody that's beat that game, right? Like, I've been in every stage of entrepreneurship you can imagine. The actual 9-to-5, the rat race on top of that, where you're in the rat race of buying nice things to prove yourself, to a point where I'm like, there's nothing I really want to buy, but I'm playing the game and I still want to help people. And what I'll tell you is like we said at the beginning, the most important thing is growth and higher consciousness. And I believe that once you reach the highest consciousness, and maybe a little bit scary, I think your test is over. And I think you have the option whether or not your soul wants to leave your body or it wants to stay here. And I think I saw that with my dad a little bit. Even through all the traumatic stuff that happened, I thought it may have been his time to go. Like if there was any timing, I think it was his time to go. And maybe God sent him to pass down to me the next message of what he taught me. And I think it's scary, but it's a beautiful thing at the same time,
Yeah, look what it created within you, right? A lot of the wisdom and the maturity that you have right now came from the situations that you experienced. If your dad was here, you might not be exactly the same person that you are today, right? For better 100%. Or worse. But the fact that you are as mature and you have the wisdom and perspective and focus and bigger purpose that you are displaying to other people came from some of these really difficult situations, right? How did you limit some of the distractions on your journey? Like you moved to Miami, and one of the first things that we talked about, you were like, man, I really wanted to find a girl that supported me and not go out and not party. And, obviously you moved to Miami and you're trying to find your way, but how did you limit those distractions and just say, no, man, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah. So here's the funny thing. When I was single, I never fully limited those distractions, right? No matter what it was. Like if you're a single man, you have a sexual desire. You were given it by birth. And when you hit puberty, you wanted ass, right? So I get to Miami, I'm seeing all these girls and et cetera and the life. And, then there's your phone, then there's the pH, you know what I mean? And it was just, which distraction do I want? Because I know I have this urge and this desire regardless. I've done the semen retention stuff too, but even in suit of doing semen retention, I was still thinking about ass, right? So the Bible says it. A man and a woman were designed to be together to eliminate lust. So I knew that I did need one woman. And I almost just stopped messing with hoes after a certain point where I just wanted to choose the right one. And I feel like everybody can choose the right one, but it's not what people think, right? It's not some magical puzzle piece coming together. It takes work. It takes a good blueprint and it takes work. So I thought, I want a girl who's fairly young. I want a girl that hasn't had too many past sexual partners. I want a girl that's traditional and willing to listen. And, you know, there was candidates, right? I'd go on a date with a girl, she'd be like, I'm 29. I'd be like, I'm 21, it's not gonna work. Right, I'd go on a date with a girl, she was just saying stuff. Oh, I've been in a Lambo, I've been in a McLaren, I've been in a Rolls Royce. I was like, yeah, no, that's probably not the one too. So you're not gonna find it the first time, right? That's what people need to understand. You're not gonna find it the first time. But, you know, I met my girl through my cameraman. It's through my cameraman. I always had this idea in my head too of like what I may have wanted. I was like, you know, I used to think I wanted like a businesswoman to conquer life with together. I grew up without a dad. And then I realized, no, that's not what I want. And then I just wanted a girl to take care of that could keep me company, that we could work in symmetry. And I had this image. I was like, you know, blonde, you know, model, you know, if this does come about, this is what I'm looking for. Willing to listen, right? Feminine, a little bit smart at the same time. And, you know, through my cameraman, I saw this girl on his page. He's my car cameraman. And I was like, you know what, she'd look good next to my car. I'm gonna get her on a shoot. And it wasn't even because I was like hunting her or anything. I was like, I wanna visualize, right? If this is the image of what I want, I don't even know if this girl, I don't know her personality or anything, but if this is the image of what I want, let me go out on a shoot, I'll visualize. I was big on visualization, right? So I take this girl in my car, Ksenia, you know what I mean? And we do this shoot. And before you know it, she does fit the traits of what I want. You know, we kind of snapped. And we didn't get together right away, right? We had met each other then. And then at the same time, we had our own problems, and, you know, we fell out. It was an ego battle, right? When there's two, I don't know, when a woman's attractive, when a man's successful, it's always an ego battle, right? And that's what you'll find in Miami. So we didn't work out at first, but then after a year or so, we just kept running into each other. We kept seeing signs, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna try this out, you know, and it was just great after that. But what that did though, having one woman allowed me to eliminate the lust. I have a superpower that nobody else in my industry has. I have one woman at home who listens to my word, who makes my life easier, who does my laundry, who makes food sometimes, who makes my coffee, she makes my mass gainer shakes. And I'm not left with that lonely feeling, because I remember that too, right? Like when I was single, there was like, no matter how much money I'd make, no matter what I did, I'd still go to sleep at night and I'd be like, fuck. And that's what destroys most men, is that lust, right? Like, you're like, fuck it, let me just go to the club. Like, let me meet somebody, let me text hoes on Instagram. So like, I think every man should be striving to get one woman, and I don't think it comes when you want it to. I think it comes when it's needed. It's biblical as well that if you're fully locked into your purpose, if you're on a mission, if you're just focused on growing and building, that's given to you as a reward, as a trophy. So I don't think I ever really found it. I think it just stumbled across my path, and that was like a gift from God as well, you know, so that's,
True.
yeah.
I'm gonna need you to introduce me to a girl.
Yeah, and you'll find it on accident though. But this is what I'll tell you too. At the same time, when you're in the relationship, it's a test as well,
Right.
because it's not the perfect puzzle piece. Like I said, there's still lust in a relationship. There's still times I've been looking at ass. My girl's like, "What are you doing?" She's doing, and you know what I mean. Like, nobody's perfect, right? So like, you have to have the discipline in the relationship too. It's very easy for men to be in a relationship with a good girl and then go, man, maybe there's more, and that's the devil in your ear as well. I mean, same thing on the girl's end too. So like, it just takes work, but there's also a biblical quote, since that's the vibe of this podcast, that any desire or lust that God gives you, he also gives you the ability to overcome it. So it's not outside of you. Nothing's outside of you where you can't overcome something. And it's an everyday challenge. I always look to the story of King Solomon, right? King Solomon was given everything he wanted, every woman he wanted, every car he wanted, every piece of gold and jewelry that he wanted. And what did it do? It self-destructed him. And it ended his wisdom. So I had that friend that I told you about that put me back on my path. He said, Vincent, you have access to absolutely everything you want, and if you're not disciplined, it's gonna destroy you. And I went, shit. Okay, let me lock back in, and I went to church, right? And I can't even say I go to church every single week, right? But I went to church that time, and it talked about your message and what you were pushing to the youth. And then I said, maybe that's the halt to the followers, to the money, because I have the wrong message. And it's been uphill ever since.
Amazing. Love watching your journey, bro.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. What about you? How would you say that you've been able to kind of overcome the lust and the challenges? And, you know, because Miami, I always tell people, Miami will either make or break you, right? It's not for everybody. Some people come here and self-destruct. Some people come here and they lock into a level that's unimaginable. How were you able to overcome that and stay focused?
So it's been my biggest challenge, you know, and you and I spoke about this 8 months ago, a year ago, whenever it was in the gym. I have beat all my problems except for women and lust. And although I've become sober and developed a spiritual relationship and helped other people and got healthy and fit and all this stuff, it wasn't until I got baptized 2 months ago that my life just completely turned upside down. Brother, I can't even believe what's happened since I gave my life to Jesus Christ. My old desires just completely went away, like vanished. I can no longer have a conversation with a girl and think like, oh man, it would be fun to hook up with this girl. That thought has just left me. I'm not saying that it might not come back, but dude, in the past 2 months, every time I talk to a girl, I'm like, is this a mother? Is this a wife? And if not, I just have to let them down. You know, I have to just tell them, hey, this isn't for me. I don't want to continue on this path. And no matter how hard I tried myself to not, you know, engage in this game of women and lust, the only thing that's been able to so far make this change was giving my life to God. You know, and so I'm now on this really strange journey where the past 2 months, dude, I've lost all desire for anything that I used to have a desire for. I'm actually like redefining who I am as a person completely. I mean, dude, I get in the car and I'll put on what I used to think was motivating, some Rick Ross or some Jeezy or whatever. And sometimes I'll hear a lyric and I'll be like, man, like I put Molly in her drink and she don't even know it. And I'm like, why do you got to say that? You know? And then so, but I never noticed or recognized these lyrics before. I never noticed or recognized how bad my lust was destroying me, you know? And now that I'm no longer engaging in the same sort of behaviors, bro, I'm left with all this time. And it's been the most reflective 2 months of my life, where I've realized, just like you, like, dude, this purpose, and I've known this for a while, but it's become so crystal clear. My purpose is really just to help people at a mass scale, like millions and millions of people. And the only thing still holding me back is the fact that I don't have one specific relationship with a woman and just wasting my time with too many girls. So dude, it's been, you know, I've kept it at bay for the past, you know, whatever period of time. And I think I've had some success because, like, in my heart of hearts, like I purely want to help other people, and I have since the day I got online, but I know it's the last thing that's holding me back. And so I really like what you said, which was, I was focused on my purpose. I was focused on me, and she just kind of came into my life. Right. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm not like, dude, I got to find a wife. I don't want to force anything. I'm just focused on me. But what that's going to require me to do is not talk to girls. So there's a period of time, which I've been going through, where I'm not going to be having sex with random girls. And it's just weird for me because that's kind of how I position my life. And so, yeah, I mean, that's like what's been up recently.
I think you gave the perfect blueprint for every man who's single too, was that everybody has lust, everybody has desires, but you're looking for a wife. That's what so many men mistake, right? Because a lot of guys will see a girl with fake tits and a fake ass, and they're like, oh, bro, she's fine. That's not a wife, though. You know what I mean? A lot of dudes will meet a girl at a club, and it's like, bro, she's the one. And, bro, that's not a wife. Your wife's not at the club, right? So, like, if you look for these qualities, which, what does the Bible preach? It preaches chastity, right? I don't know if that's the exact word, but not having too many past sexual partners is one thing that the Bible preaches is a gift from a woman to a man. And there's certain signs with that you can tell, right? Like, it'll be little things. Like I said, oh, I've been in this car, that car. Yeah, this dude, oh, your legs, they're a little bit strong because my 6'7" friend, his legs are like no, wait, hold on. Like, you know, there's certain signs, and you'll be able to tell whether it's through gut instinct or not of what's a good girl and what's not. And when that good girl does come into your life, no matter how much you push that girl away, no matter how many times I was toxic, I told my girl, I was like, get out, leave, I'm done with this, etc. I'm not the man for you. She just stayed by my side. Even when I was on a mattress on the floor and I was like, no, get out. No, this isn't going to work. I hate me right now. You can't be here. She was like, no, we're going to figure this out together. And she wouldn't leave my side, right? Like a hoe will leave your side, right? You have a fallout. You have one argument. She's gone to the next dude because she's done that 10 other times before. So the best blueprint of what you gave is just looking for a wife. That's the number one thing. And like you said, it comes to you, right? You're focused on your grind. You're focused on your path. And absolutely nobody's perfect. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm like the most perfect person in the world and I found a wife, the first one. No, but one thing I will tell you is I was also never too sexually engaged because I knew that my brothers were, right? Like my brothers would bring home hoes and it'd be Hennessy and weed and drinking and smoking. And I had already, they say a normal person learns from their own mistakes. A smart person learns from the mistakes of others. So I was able to see, and this was God-given as well. I'm on a mattress on my brother's floor, and I'm seeing the hoes come in. I'm seeing the bullshit happen, and all I saw out of that was problems. And I'm not even going to expose my brother, but just problems, health problems, mental problems, financial problems, because they weren't looking for wives, right? That was the number one thing. And I see that destroy so many men in modern day time. I mean, you can even see it with the biggest dudes online. Some bitch from the past that was from 3 years ago, now there's a case. I always tell my girl too, I'm like, I can confidently tell you, and I don't want, knock on wood because some people lie, right? But I can confidently tell you, there is not a lot of women that can go and say, Vincent, when he was 17 or 18 years old, we were in a room here. It's just not gonna happen to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I've set myself up like that. And even when I didn't know it at the time, it's like, I just knew, when something's not right. You know when something's not right. And you have to look at it like this, like you're the man. So all the things that disgust you about a woman, which is a lack of chastity, right? Moving sloppy. Even when my girl's wearing too open clothes, sometimes I'm like, I'm like, cover your tits. What are you doing? Like, you can't be dressed like this. You know, and it's just all the things that you found so attractive, all of that lust becomes unattractive when you're walking with God. I was baptized, I think I was very young though. I was like 6 years old or so. And I was baptized. It was I don't even remember if it's Christian or Catholic. This is why I might get slandered online. Look, you don't even know religion. I think there's a way to know religion through gut instinct. You know what I mean? Like, and when you read these pages, right? When you read the Bible, when you read whatever religion you are, Quran, etc., whatever you read, you're not learning something new. You're memorizing, right? You go, oh shit. This is right. This is what I've been sent back to. Because remember, I said life is a test of consciousness. You're put down here at birth, you know absolutely nothing, and you're just remembering who you're supposed to be. So that's what I found too. And I look to the Bible a lot. And I'll do it through ChatGPT. It's strictly Bible, but I'll go, hey, listen, give me some Bible verses that relate to this. Now, why do I ask ChatGPT that? I want to know if I'm walking with God, and if I don't find any verses on that, I'll go, maybe I'm out of line. But a lot of the time what I found is, hey, Vince, here's 3 examples that explain that exact situation. And the reason I do that is because these books were written so long ago, right? So language has tweaked up a little bit, it's changed, and things can easily be misunderstood. But what you'll realize is, I can confidently say this because I know my relationship with God. I know that I push a fulfilling message. I know that I push the right thing, and that's what makes me sleep comfortable at night, even when the whole world hates me. People ask, Vince, how do you deal with hate? People criticize you online, people make YouTube series, etc. I know my relationship with God is good, and when I know that's good, I'm willing to have the entire world hate me and misunderstand me as long as I know I'm doing what I'm put here to do. And that's a certain level of faith as well. So, yeah, everything can be found through God. You can't do it alone, bro.
Totally.
Can't do it alone, bro. And it's good to have a team around you that's on the same purpose, the same exact mission. What I found is, if you're hanging around with people that are influenced by the devil. Now, what does influenced by the devil mean? It could mean like they have to get drunk all the time. They have to smoke weed. They're constantly cheating on their wives. Like, when you're around dudes like this too, like my goal is to either awaken them. And if I can't awaken them, I have to separate from them. I can't be around them too long, right? And these are principles I never talk about. I don't think I've ever talked about this in this much depth online, and that's why I'm misunderstood. People think I'm from the devil or something like that, you know what I mean? But this is stuff that I live by behind the scenes, outside of the strategies I gave you. I think this is really why I'm successful. It's just eliminating those things.
I recognize this from the moment that I met you, like how mature you were in the way that you said, hey, I made a list of the things I found important in a girl, right? And if she met those things in a list, that's how I was going to design my life. I had this bigger purpose and I wasn't going to stray from it. I saw the club and the drugs and the party and those people, and I wasn't going to hang out with them. Those 3 things right there tell me so much about your character and who you are. It was like, it doesn't matter what people think online. I knew from 5 minutes of being with you, you didn't give a shit about any of the material stuff. You didn't give a shit about any fame or what other people think. It was like, yo, you're a real dude who sticks and works by a program and has God and has these moral values. Like, you'll go very, very far in life. So it's been cool to see like you just absolutely take off.
Yeah,
What's next for you? You know, you talk about like, hey, I want to create another kind of business. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So the number one thing, I mean, on a physical plane that I'm focused on, I'm building a software, right? Because a lot of gym people use Trainerize. I'm building a software that's very similar, more simple, more financing options. So I've invested in that. I've invested, I don't even know if I can say this. I've invested in some private equity stuff. I want to build six-figure fitness, continue to change lives and sell that. But I always tell people, like, my goal after a millionaire was to be a billionaire. And I think it's just inevitable, right? Like, not because I want the money. It's because I want the growth, right? And people don't understand this. They'll see somebody who's hyper successful online. Like, I don't get how people can sit online and say, Jeff Bezos is evil and we're going to go to his wedding and we're going to, bro, you use Amazon. Like, what are you're shipping packages to your door every single day. So
Happily.
Yeah, he's in his position because he served.
Right.
You know, people will say Mark Zuckerberg's a lizard and Instagram. Bro, you use Instagram. You met your friend group on Instagram, but he serves. And that's why they're ultra successful. So as soon as you take out the lens, which even I had, my mom grew up telling me rich people are evil and nobody should have this when there's homeless people on the side of the street. And the truth is, like, rich people create jobs, they create opportunities, they make the world a better place. And when you look through that lens of life, I'll never see somebody who's a billionaire and start hating on them, right? But that's one of my goals, though. And it's not just about the money itself. It's about a challenge, right? It's about pushing myself. It's about growing. And I just know that, you know, some people have different takes on this, right? I've seen some people don't even set goals. They go, I'm competing with myself. We'll see where it gets. I've done both. Right, I'll set a goal and then I'll be focused on the goal, but I'll just put my head down and work. And I'll go, I want to outperform me from yesterday. However I need to do that, whether it's getting more people, whether it's building better systems. And I mean, there's days that we do 100,000 a day now. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't care about the money though. Like, I've bought everything that I wanted, and people say, Vince, buy a Richard Mille. I'm like, I don't know if I want the Richard Mille. You know what I mean? But it's just about growing, right? I want to see the number go up. I want it to expand. I want to help more people. When there's people in my group, I mean, the only thing better than getting rich, because after you get rich is one thing, and it's great for like years. It's still great for me now. I don't get the people online that say it was unfulfilling. If you're doing fuck shit, it might be unfulfilling. But what I like now is making other people rich. So I like taking a partner and I'm like, hey, let's work together. I want to see your income grow. And I like hearing texts of like, Vince, I quit my job, bro. Vince, I'm taking care of my mom now. The reason that I love consulting on a spiritual scale is because I know when I did fitness, there's only so many people I could help, right? I sold thousands of fitness programs and I can help those thousands of people, but if I'm on top of the ladder, if I do consulting and I help 1,000 me's, my service is expanded exponentially, and as a byproduct, my reward is expanded exponentially. Not a lot of people understand that money is spiritual, right? Like, money is a frequency as well. And it's not even stagnant either, right? Money comes and goes. Like, I spend a lot of money too. Yesterday I sent 100,000 in payroll. Today I've probably spent like 30,000 already on just, you know, setting up offshore trusts and LLCs and paying people, just random stuff. Like, but you can't cling on to it though. You can't cling on to it and like hoard it and it's me. That was what I was taught growing up. So my goal is just expansion. You know, my goal is expansion. My goal is higher consciousness, pushing myself, continuing to spoil the people around me, and that's what makes me feel fulfilled. And there is a piece of me that does like to conquer, right? There's another side too that, you know, I'm just like, I want to dominate the industry, you know, like, and we're all born with it, right? When God created man, and I'm going to give so many biblical examples because people will say, oh, you know, you're lost from God. But when God created man, he said, be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion over the earth. What does dominion mean? It means conquering. So ever since I was a kid in Arizona, growing up, I'd be in the desert. I'd be like, let's take the burnt down wood. Let's build a fortress on this mountain, and we'll call it our mountain. So I have the same thing. Everybody has the same thing now. So I'm like, I take my group and I'm like, guys, listen, we're going to dominate this industry. We're going to be the top. And, you know, you join us or you starve. And it's a fun game, right? Like, that's what I'm focused on. Yeah. What would you say outside of, you know, conquering this last piece, which never gets fully conquered, right? There's no such thing as you made it, which we identified at the beginning of the podcast. But what would you say your main focus and mission is now?
I want to help as many people as humanly possible. And I think the best way for me to be able to do that is to start speaking on stages, to create more YouTube, but to scale my program to help people actually overcome more of the stuff that I overcame, which is, the drugs. There's so many people that struggle with addiction, with some of the mindset that I had, obviously with, fitness as well. But I really just want to get my message out there to help millions of people. Mm-hmm. And I also know that personally, I do best on stages in front of a big group of people. And obviously we have this online platform that's very helpful. Mm-hmm. But that's my whole goal right now is to get, I really believe that I could have a similar impact to Tony Robbins, mm-hmm. but talking more about a lot of the problems that I overcame as well. He doesn't talk about addiction or drug use or like a lot of those things in the experience in the way that I've had it. So that's it, man. I just want to help more people.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'll give you a spin too. The funniest thing about like every single challenge in life and success is the same in every single area. So some fruit for thought, even on the topic of God, right? And I know you asked me, you're like, Vince, how do you have this clear worldview, wisdom, et cetera? I prayed for wisdom. People don't know that too. I never prayed for anything materialistic. When I'm in my bed at night, I don't pray for a damn Bugatti. I don't go, please give me a Bugatti. No, I go, please give me the wisdom to be able to help people to have these things that I want. And if you look back, I mean, there's clips of me that surface the internet. Like I said, you could look back to me 3 years ago. I'm not the same person. I'm not as smart. I'm not as articulate. I'm not as wise, but I prayed for that wisdom. So even if these people watching this believe that they're dumb or they can't, these guys online are smarter than me. We're no different than you, but you have to pray for wisdom, right? So I'll give you some fruit for thought. There's a very good perspective on religion that's not exact, right? It's not to the script. When I was raised, it was to the script. My grandpa said, listen, Vincent, Adam, Eve, there was a snake that would talk to this lady. And I don't know why. Maybe this is wrong. Maybe it's not. But it's like, that sounds like a little bit of like a fairy tale. But what I realized over time is there is a lesson out of it. Whether it's exact or not, it's about the lesson. So if you look at God as a metaphor of I am, and everybody has the power of God by what they affirm of themselves. If you affirm yourself to be a drug addict, if you affirm yourself to be broke, if you affirm yourself to be stupid, God is going to reflect to you back what you affirm, right? So you can change your self-image and change your reality. When I was dead broke and a beggar, like I was a beggar, right? I changed my self-image and I said, I am a millionaire. Right? The Bible says be, do, have. So I changed my self-image first. I went, I am successful. I am a millionaire. I am smart. I am a hard worker. Now Jesus can be looked at as a metaphor of imagination, right? Because he came down and said, look what I can do through God. Look what I can do through belief. I can walk on water. I can turn water to wine, all because of my faith in the Most High, which is God. So if you look at it like imagination, then you have to constantly hold in your mind that you can do all these things based on your self-image. And it's just those two principles right there that are the secrets of success that's just in plain sight. No matter where you are, if you're dead broke, addicted to drugs, begging people for money, it starts by stop affirming that of yourself. Stop saying that's who you are. Switch it right there. And nobody's perfect. You're going to have sins, but if you look at baptization like a cleansing of sins, and you still affirm your self-image and you don't let your sins identify you, then you can completely transform mentally and your world can transform as a byproduct. So I've done bad things when I was younger. I told you I lost my relationship with God. I wanted to make money. Bro, I used to go into backpacks and steal money. You know what I mean? I'd steal. But I didn't let that define me when I wanted to change. I went, I'm not my sins. I'm imperfect. But this new version of me, this baptized version, I am a man of God. I am focused. I am helping others. I am smart. And it was the imagination aspect, right, of just holding that in my mind that I can do all these things through God. I can do all these things through faith. And I always grew up, we worshiped Jesus, and it felt good but incorrect. Now, here's what I mean. We'd worship a photo of Jesus. We'd have a photo of Jesus, and it'd go, this is this white man right here, worshiped it. But his message is to be worshiped on top of everything else, his demeanor. You know what I mean? Everything about him, not just the look, not just to say, hey, I worship Jesus, but I can't be like him at all. And he's just somebody to be. No, like worship him and live in his light and live in his message and take his leadership as example. And you can have all things through God as well. That's how I looked at religion and faith and God. So, like when we'd hear about these prophets biblically, we'd be in church. And I think the reason I say I think they taught it incorrectly was because I was shamed to even think that I could be some type of prophet as well and do good for the world. It was like, don't compare yourself to Jesus. That's what I was told when I was younger. Don't compare yourself to, and it left me hopeless, right? I was like, well, what am I supposed to do, right? But I think to some degree you should go, hey, listen, I love Jesus, I love God, and I'm going to take their word, I'm going to take their message, I'm going to live through their light, right? I'm going to remove the lust, I'm going to try to help others, etc. And you can have all these things too. That's what people don't get, right? So that's been my personal relationship, and I think that's some faith that we can give the viewers to that. You can have anything you want in life. I tell my clients this. I tell my consulting clients, my fitness clients, I'm not a teacher that pulls up in a Beetle telling you can have everything you want, making $9 an hour. I'm the guy that's bought every car they want, has the relationship, has the status, and I'm telling you can have everything you want if you understand the principles that we're talking about in any area. And I know this isn't good for marketing. Maybe it's not even with coaching, right? Maybe you want to be a doctor, maybe you want to be a lawyer, maybe you want to be a teacher too. You can have anything you want as soon as you understand these principles, and it's just about learning religion, whether you do that through church, whether you do it through Google, whatever you need to do it through, it's about consciousness. And the more conscious you become, everything on the physical plane is given to you. That's how I look at it.
No doubt. What's one thing that people don't know about you that you think would be helpful?
I think a lot of people don't know that I'm a very generous person, regardless of the highlights that are flashed online. And I don't even want to, I don't know, I'll say it, but I'll see a homeless lady, I'll give her $1,000 sometimes. I'll give kids in villages money and feed them, and I like seeing the meals. I always say I give selfishly though. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't give for a benefit of feeling good. But is that bad? I'll give because I want to feel better, right? I'm like, I get to help all these kids. I get to feel like I did some positivity for the world. I get to give this lady all the cash in my wallet. I feel like I did good. I think it's that I'm a generous person. And I think it's that I'm also down to earth beyond the camera, right? If I want to go viral and I want to say some crazy shit, I'll say some crazy shit. But I think people don't understand that I also have an amplified presence online where it's not fake at all. It's not fake at all. These are actually my opinions. These are actually my beliefs. But I will spice it up. I know how to piss people off. I know how to be liked if I want to be liked. I know how to do any of these things. So, I just say I think a lot of people don't know I'm a down to earth, generous guy as well, and I'll get misunderstood for that. Yeah.
That's so huge, dude, because at the end of the day, your character is all about what you do when people are not looking, and I think that's probably the best takeaway from all this. One of my favorite things to do is same thing. Well, I'll take $500 and I'll drive through Miami Beach on my way home. I'll take the long way, and I'll just actually drive street by street and see if I see a single mother with 2 kids walking down the street. And I'll pull over and I'll actually just go straight up to the mom, and I'm always speaking in Spanish, and I'll just say, hey, look, like do something great with this, like keep being the mom that you are. And for me, it might be a little bit selfish, like just because that feeling is amazing, but man, that's for me, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. 100%. Would you say that's the thing that you want the viewers to know behind the scenes, or you think it's something different as well?
Man, I think the biggest thing that I want people to know is that I really have struggled my whole life with ego. And I think I've let my ego hold me back from actually fulfilling my purpose to the highest level. And I know now that after having this complete ego death 2 months ago, that I'm on this path of more spiritual growth than I've ever been on. And I'm really excited for that future. But I want people to know that their ego doesn't have to control their life. And no matter how much you want to be portrayed in the public eye, I was the same way. And believe me, it's a way better feeling just to kill your ego and win at life. So that's what I want people to know.
That's awesome. And a lot of people confuse confidence with ego.
Yeah.
And they're 2 completely different things.
Totally.
You can have an ego death and be confident, right? You can still believe in yourself. You can still think you're the man. But ego is when it gets to a point where you think you're better than everyone and they can't be like you.
Exactly.
So I've struggled with that as well too. Even with fitness early on, I had a fitness transformation where I gained 60 pounds and I'm like, nobody can do what I did. I'm too locked in. As soon as you stop being an example and you start shutting people out as indifferent, that's when it becomes ego as well. So this is a beautiful, beautiful podcast, bro. How are we on time? We're just, Yeah. Awesome, bro. But yeah, I mean, on top of that too, I mean, we talked about Miami, we talked about religion a lot. That was a good facet of this as well. We talked about relationships too. I guess behind the scenes, you know, even now with this ego death, I want to ask you on terms of self-image, how do you see yourself?
My whole life, I imagined that I was in a movie. I imagined that everyone was watching me, even before I ever got online, when no one was watching me. And I realized that every action that I took was with the lens of what other people are going to think. And I let that control my life. Now, today, I can honestly say I don't care anymore. It's literally gone, bro. Like, I no longer have this desire to walk out of here and see a hot girl and be like, oh, I'm gonna make sure I get in the car real quick and roll the windows down and go that way so she sees me, right? And that's how I used to live my whole life. I was like, maybe I'm gonna get approval from these people. And now, dude, that I have such a relationship with God, I no longer care to have that approval. And it's the most freeing feeling in the world. I would say my image of myself is that I actually want to help other people. And I have for a long time, but I actually want to help other people, and I'm free from other people's opinions of me. I said I was free of what other people thought for a long time, and I felt like I was moving in that direction. But today I can honestly say I'm free. And man, that for me, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
I want money for security. I want a wife to share my life with. I want kids, but it doesn't matter when this stuff happens anymore because I'm content with who I am as a person. And so I think for me, that's the greatest feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And what do you think created that freedom? Because I've struggled with that as well, especially, I don't know, let's just say like 6 months ago where I do things for other people. There's a car I didn't want to buy, but I'd buy it because other people would think I'm the man. Like, what do you think allowed you to escape that?
It was, dude, getting baptized just really changed my life. Starting to go to church every week, spending time with Colin Yerkeson, who was on his faith journey, and sort of seeing other people who had this freedom, void of some of the material stuff, void of other people's opinions. It just sort of slowly happened over time. And then once I got baptized, it was just like this instant flick of a switch. I never imagined that this was going to happen. Like, dude, I think I had a similar conception of you of like, yeah, I'm spiritual. I didn't follow a specific religion. I always kind of looked at Jesus as like, yeah, right. It's a guy on a picture on a painting, and like, that's not me. But when I got baptized, I've experienced the craziest change of all time. And so I actually feel like a newborn right now, and it's allowed me to sort of reshape what's important in my life. And I think where this is most important is with women. Because, dude, if I'm being honest, I never looked at a girl as of like, I want to get to know this girl to see if she's a mother and a wife. And that's been my downfall my whole life. I never really respected women enough to like get to know them and want a wife. And now that I'm in this new position of consciousness and I feel like I've been reborn, I'm like, how did I ever think about just sort of using women, for so long? But I don't beat myself up over it. It's like, that's my journey. Like you said, my time is my time. And I think overcoming these issues is my testimony, right? It's like my struggles and my challenges, and overcoming all them is only going to multiply the impact that I have on other people. So I'm just excited for the future to be able to help as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you been to Dubai before?
No.
So
How was it?
I'll tell you this. It gave me a perspective, like you just said. There's no such thing as flexing out there. I think that's the number one thing that gave me that perspective. But I mean, on top of that, it was just out there. It's a different vibration and a different energy. It may look very similar, Miami and Dubai online, but it's completely different. I had no desire to flex at all because it's not cultural, right? It didn't feel cultural to wear diamonds and have a loud Lambo. It felt very peaceful. There was a lot of families. There was a lot of religion as well. There was a lot of people that were fully clothed. And it was very interesting because I used to think that you couldn't find yourself traveling. I'd be like, that's bullshit. You can find yourself where you're at. But I almost went there and it was just like, holy shit. Like, I've been a victim to Miami. I've been a victim to Miami where I started thinking differently, as in maybe I don't have to get that watch now and be in an uncomfortable spot. Now, don't get it confused. I still wanted to grow, but it was a different type of growth. It was a private equity investment type of growth, not a flash type of growth. So I think outside of just the flashy stuff and seeing what Dubai looks like, I think it's cool to go there, right? It's on the exact opposite side of the world and a completely different culture and country. But there was a lot of love out there as well that you may not even find in Miami, or I hadn't found, where people are very accepting too. Like, people are very positive, and they're like, hey man, you know, oh, like I had an African friend, he made like 400 million in e-commerce at 27. Wow. And my back's over here hurting in the chair, we're at dinner. He's like, oh, it is so peaceful. Like, I'm like, what do you mean my back hurt? Like, it's a different, it's not American, I'll tell you that right now. It's not American, but it's a different culture that almost, I came back here and I was like, wait, I've been a victim to the drama. I've been a victim to the gossip. I've been a victim to the materialistic stuff, whether I thought I was or wasn't. And, you know, that was what gave me that awakening too. So yeah, that's a cool topic. But yeah, I mean, on that same note, I wish we could keep going for hours and hours, but I want to kind of, wrap this up. So where can they follow you?
At Wade Houston on Instagram, also Wade Houston on YouTube. And how about you?
Awesome. And then Vincent Fisher _ FISCHER _ on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Love
yeah, bro. Let's get it.
Great catching with you, bro.
Nice catching up, bro.